Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that toilet paper no longer exists. No rolls in the bathroom, no backup stash in the cupboard, nothing at the supermarket. It sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Yet for most of human history, this was reality. Toilet paper is such a modern comfort that our ancestors lived thousands of years without it. They cleaned themselves with leaves, stones, shells, sponges, moss, and even pages of books. And then, slowly, humanity invented something so ordinary, yet so revolutionary, that it quietly changed our lives forever. This is the long, fascinating history of toilet paper. Life before toilet paper, ancient ingenuity. Let's rewind thousands of years. Imagine you're living in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, or Greece. After doing your business, what do you use? The answer depended on what was nearby. The Greeks. They used broken pieces of pottery called pessoi. Archaeologists have even found inscribed pessoi with the names of disliked politicians, meaning people literally wiped away their enemies. The Romans. They were more advanced. In public baths and latrines, they used a communal sponge on a stick called a tersorium. After each use, it was dipped in vinegar or salt water and reused. Hygienic by their standards, but by ours, not so much. The Vikings and Northern Europeans, in cold climates, dried moss, snow, and even animal furs were pressed into service. Indigenous cultures in the Americas, native peoples often used corn cobs, plentiful, durable, and surprisingly effective. Japan and China, before paper, thin sticks called chugi were used to scrape clean. For thousands of years, these were normal. No one thought twice about it. Toilet paper simply didn't exist. People solved the problem with creativity, but not comfort. China's paper revolution. The first real step toward toilet paper came from China. Paper itself was invented around the 2nd century BC. At first, it was too valuable for wiping. It was for writing and art. But as paper became cheaper during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 AD, people began to use rough sheets for hygiene. By the 14th century, records show that the Ming Dynasty's imperial family demanded 720,000 sheets of toilet paper each year. Some sheets were even perfumed for the emperor's use. Imagine that! While most of the world was using moss and stones, Chinese royalty was wiping with perfumed paper. For commoners, coarse rice paper was the norm. It wasn't soft, but it was a leap forward. The rest of the world carries on. While China advanced, the rest of the world had different traditions. Islamic cultures, washing with water was the standard, often using a jug called a lota. This is still common today in many parts of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Medieval Europe, most people used straw, hay, or cloth scraps. Wealthy nobles sometimes used wool or lace, which could be washed and reused. Sailors at sea. Ropes frayed at the ends or old sails were used on ships. Early modern America. Corn cobs were common until the late 19th century when old newspapers and catalogs, especially the Sears catalog, became bathroom staples. Pages were cheap, plentiful, and had a second life after reading. For centuries, toilet paper as we know it was still unimaginable in most places. People simply adapted to whatever resources were around them. The first commercial toilet paper. The story of modern toilet paper begins in 1857 with Joseph Gaetti, an American inventor. He introduced Gaetti's medicated paper, aloe-infused sheets packaged in boxes. He marketed it as a health product that could prevent hemorrhoids. Each sheet had Gaetti's name printed on it, so yes, people were literally wiping with his signature. But it was expensive, and Americans still preferred free catalogs and newspapers. His invention didn't catch on widely, but it planted the seed. The real breakthrough came in 1890 when the Scott Paper Company in Pennsylvania began selling toilet paper on rolls. Brothers Clarence and E. Irvin Scott saw an opportunity, packaging paper in long rolls perforated into sheets. At first, customers were embarrassed to buy it. No one wanted to admit they needed toilet paper. So Scott marketed it as bathroom tissue. The softer name made it acceptable, and slowly it began appearing in homes across America. Early toilet paper problems. The first rolls weren't perfect. In fact, they were dangerous. Splinters. Because early paper was made from wood pulp with poor processing, rolls sometimes contained actual wood splinters. Imagine that. Strength issues. Early paper often tore too easily, making it frustrating. Stigma. Talking about toilet habits was taboo, so stores sometimes hid the rolls under the counter. Customers whispered requests rather than asking aloud. But progress was steady. By the early 1900s, toilet paper was softer, safer, and more widely available. The 20th century toilet paper boom. By the 1920s, toilet paper was becoming a household staple in Western countries. Key milestones included 1928, the Hoburg Paper Company introduced Charmin, marketed with a lady on the packaging to suggest softness and elegance. 1942, St. Andrew's Paper Mill in the UK released the first two-ply toilet paper, offering extra comfort. 1950s to 1960s, advertising exploded. Brands competed with slogans like the softest, the strongest, or the cleanest. Cute puppies, babies, and mascots became toilet paper icons. Toilet paper wasn't just a product, it became part of popular culture. Toilet paper around the world. Cultural differences. Even with its rise, not every culture adopted toilet paper. Europe, countries like France, Italy, and Spain preferred bidets, a washing basin beside the toilet. Asia and the Middle East, water remained the norm. In India, Southeast Asia, and much of Africa, washing with water was seen as cleaner and healthier. Japan, innovators combined both worlds, creating advanced toilets with built-in bidet sprays, heated seats, and even dryers. This divide still exists today. In the West, paper dominates. Elsewhere, water remains king. Toilet paper shortages and symbolism. By the mid-20th century, toilet paper was so essential that shortages made global news. 1973 U.S. shortage. A late-night comedy joke about shortages caused panic buying. Shelves emptied in days. COVID-19 pandemic, 2020. Toilet paper became the ultimate symbol of panic buying. Photos of empty supermarket aisles went viral worldwide. People hoarded rolls as if they were gold. This proved just how dependent modern societies had become on something once seen as unnecessary. Innovations and the future. Today, toilet paper comes in many varieties. Quilted, scented, bamboo, recycled, ultra-soft luxury brands. Eco-friendly rolls without cardboard tubes. But new technology is reshaping the landscape. Bidets and high-tech washlets are gaining popularity. Many argue they're cleaner, cheaper, and better for the environment. In fact, some experts believe toilet paper may eventually decline, replaced by water-based cleaning systems. Yet, for now, toilet paper remains a multi-billion-dollar global industry, a quiet necessity in nearly every home. From stones to supermarkets. Think about the journey. From sharp stones and seashells, to corn cobs and newspapers, to perfumed sheets for Chinese emperors, and finally to the ultra-soft rolls we know today. The story of toilet paper isn't just about hygiene. It's about human dignity, culture, innovation, and adaptation. It shows how something so ordinary can carry extraordinary history. So the next time you unroll a sheet, pause for a second. You're holding in your hand not just paper, but the product of 2,000 years of human problem solving.